was formulative for me.
That's right.
That is what God decided I needed to become who I became. So all of the pain and all the suffering I've ever gone through in my life ended up, in the end, building me into the person I am, and I'm proud of who I am. So if God decides I need to go back to a Romanian dungeon for however many days, then all I can do is accept it and accept his plan and accept that it's going to make me a better person. And
so you see the hand of God in your life?
Absolutely. I think that he's the best of planners. And like I said, if you retrospectively analyze all the times in life you wish you could have changed things, he knew better. And
all right, coming up next, it is a welterweight showdown between Paul the Irish Dragon Felder and Damian Maia.
Ready.
All right, so here we go. Round one is underway. I can't wait to see how this fight plays out because he told us on Thursday that despite his opponent's submission acumen, he's more than willing to engage him on it.
A lot of times guys fight with their ego. They try to go and fight their opponent in their spots. Let's see if this proves to be a very bad decision.
Well, perhaps a sign of things to come as he lands a kick there.
Nice kick landed by the gentleman.
Man, he's timing his shots nicely. It's like Tom Brady out there. He hasn't missed it. Oh!
He's in trouble. He's hurt bad. They got him.
Oh, he might be out. Wow, what a head kick. Oh, he got everything behind that kick.
Oh, nice elbow.
Goes with the combination of punches to the head, potentially some concussive damage there.
I mean, absolutely concussive damage. Landing all those strikes to the head. He's very accurate, he's very fast, and he has a real confidence every time he throws his punches.
So just over 20 straight punch lands. That's as good a punch as he's thrown on.
The punch that lands down the middle, the one that you don't feel, is the ones that land perfect, and that one landed perfect. He needs to start looking to finish now because he's got his opponent hurt very bad.
Back to the feet. Oh, man, hate to be hit with one of those knees to the body. Now goes in and secures the takedown. And this might just be a matter of time. Full guard here, DC. What does he need to do to improve position?
Well, he's got to start to build his posture, get some damage off, move the half guard, which in turn leads to more.
Oh, good entry there to take the fight to the grappling realm. Now we'll see what he can do from here, champ.
This is exactly where he wants to be. Look for him to try to use ground and pound to open up submission opportunities.
All right, so he's got the body locked down here, DC, or so it appears. This is not a guy you want anywhere near your back. Gets up again here, but hurting.
Nice punch land.
45 seconds remain in the round.
Liver kick. If you take those kicks, you're going to shut your body off.
Oh, and he caught the kick. Lift to the head, lands flush there by Maia. Beautiful entry as he gets the takedown late in the round, too, which could have an impact on the judges potentially.
Absolutely. You want to leave an impression in the judge's mind. And when you walk back to your corner, you get up from a dominant position, you almost want to wave at the judges and say, I got it done.
Right. All right, so there's the end of the round. The tide has officially turned. A huge head strike. All right, both fighters ready to go here with round two. The Iron Lung, Paul Felder, and Damian Maia. Maia's shot is blocked. So he's really starting to put together some significant body shots here. These are going to take their toll as this fight goes on. Oh, nicely done as he blocks the shot and delivers that straight counter. Looked like he might have landed there. Instead, a swing and a miss by Felder. Now his opponent's really on the ropes.
His opponent hips into that leg kick.
Swing and a miss by Felder. Oh!
What a fantastic strike to throw at the exact right moment. He deserves this moment. Go finish his fight.
Punch coming. And it's one man. Look what that one body shot did.
That shows you the power. And the power in the placement. It was placed perfectly, and now he's got it in the perimeter.
Oh, continuing to work the body to great effect.
Goodness, what a fight.
I'm going to have to accept that.
When did you conclude that?
I guess I always kind of do. I was atheistic for a while when I was younger. But as you get older, you start to look at the world and understand that the thing for me was actually, I guess, a scientific principle. It was Newton's law of equal and opposite force. If there is evil in the world, and I'd like to think we both agree there certainly is, yes, there has to be an equal and opposite force, which is good. And I would like to think of that as God. Even the idea of God as a notion, even just as a concept, if that idea of God resists evil, then God is real. If you have two islands, you have two people, let's say a ship crashes, and you have two people who swim to two different islands, and one island they're atheists, savages, and they rip you apart. And the other island, you get there and they believe in God and they believe they're not allowed to kill you. Even just their idea of God, God saved their life. So I think even just the concept of God in and of itself, if enough people believe it makes them do good, then God must be true. And that's the equal and opposite force of the evil of the world. And this is how I view it. So I don't see how anybody with a conscience can not believe in God anymore.
That's such a profoundly different worldview from the one that we're presented with, I think. Do you think that's maybe the division in the West between people who see those forces at work and those who don't?
I think the West is actually split between people who think and people who don't think at all. I think the people, there's no such thing as these two opposing worldviews. I think people believe there's worldview A and worldview B. I disagree with that. I think there's worldview A, the good guys, which are primarily people who do believe in God, do have parameters, do believe in standards, do believe in self-respect, do know how to say no. And there's worldview B, which changes day by day, regardless, based on what they're told. Which means they have no real worldview at all. They just repeat. And they have no standards, and they have no parameters. There's nothing you can tell them that will make them wake up and go, that's wrong. Because they have no inherent morality. So you can literally, you can say bestiality is accepted and encouraged. Now it's good for you because for climate change. And they'll sit there and go, oh, climate change, well, off we go. And they'll just do it. So I think you have a camp of people who think, and you have a camp of people who think. And I don't think there's actually, the opposing side to the good, I don't think function as a thinking populace at all. I think they simply repeat.
It feels like the conflict between those two groups is getting more intense.
It's certainly getting more intense, and it was interesting for me because, and I want to be an optimist, but I lost so much faith in humanity during COVID. I really, if you would have told me how COVID would have gone down before COVID, I'd say, we're not that bad. You know, like, I thought the people aren't that dumb. But when I experienced COVID, it's actually scary. You see how the Nazis managed to do what they did. You see how they managed to put people in concentration camps. You see it. And I had a very unique view of COVID because in the first days of COVID, when people were falling over in China and the Italian hospitals were overrun, at the height of the panic, when most people believed, because it was the very beginning, early stages, my brother and I had a very logical conversation. We said, we're two military-aged men in very good physical conditions. We die of this. We'll both die. They can kill us. It's on the apocalypse. So why are we going to live in fear? So we found the only two countries that were open, which were Sweden and Belarus. We've just been in Belarus. This is before the Ukraine war. We've just been there. We decided to try Sweden. So for the first 3 months of COVID, during the height of lockdowns, when Florida was closed, when it was when it was the craziest lockdowns globally, me and Tristan are in Sweden in absolute freedom. We had no restrictions, no masks, no vaccine passports, no...
Hi, baby.
Nightclubs are full, lunch restaurants are open, perfectly complete normal society. Nobody talks about this anymore. Nobody talks about, wait,
Hi, baby. Hi.
And they don't have it.
Thank you, baby.
There What
are you doing?
Illness and death. They never had one.
Okay, Daddy got you French fries, okay?
So we were living in Sweden, living completely normal lives, seeing the internet and seeing this insanity, and we're like, well, surely if we just put up a few videos of us partying in Sweden in nightclubs, this will wake people up. But people ignored their own eyes. That's the scariest thing about everything, is that they can get to a level where, with the media machine, where people will genuinely ignore their own eyes. I don't understand how you can get people so brainwashed that they'll see that the sky is blue, and then they'll watch that the sky is green, and then they'll look at it again and go, the sky's green. It's crazy to me, but COVID proves they can do that. And that's why the war is getting so intense, because the principled people are saying, how can you still believe in the things that you're saying? Here is all the logical, empirical evidence that that is a lie. But these people are ideologically brainwashed. They don't want to take life. They don't have the bravery it takes to wake up and accept that they're being lied to. So they'd rather just, to the end of time, repeat what they're told. And it becomes more and more intense as it becomes more and more ridiculous. It's so scary. As it becomes more and more ridiculous, the more intense both sides get. Right? So, what the future holds, I'm not entirely sure. But I like to believe, even my current charges, I found solace when I was in jail, that the thinking people are looking at this going, something like this.
Well, I mean, it is a little bracing. I mean, when I discovered, I was sympathetic to you already. But, a man's accused of human trafficking. It's worth finding out what he's accused of. And when I discovered that there was no actual human trafficking charge, that's not actually human trafficking. I don't care what you call it. You weren't buying it, even accused of buying and selling anyone. Then the next conclusion you inevitably reach is they don't like the guy. They don't like his views. It's fine. They're going to send him to jail for that. That does seem like an escalation.
Absolutely, but if they don't like your views and you're inspiring millions of people to resist slave programming, you become a threat. Like, they disgust me.
But you can't send a guy to jail because you disagree with him.
You shouldn't. But even before I went to jail, the members of parliament in the UK were talking about me and what a dangerous role model I am for young boys. So they launched this initiative inside of British schools to ban me. My name can't be set inside of any British school. And members of parliament were standing up in parliament saying, Andrew Tate is dangerous. He's encouraging young boys to have misogynistic views, because I'm literally telling young men to go to the gym and to stand up for themselves and believe in themselves and believe in something. And by extension, you look at some of the sexual education books these children are being given, which I believe at age 9, I don't think a child needs to learn about anal sex or any of these things.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So they're pushing that to the children, but I'm banned.
Well, they're also pushing weed and video games on boys.
Oh, completely. And you can listen to rap music about killing people all day long, and there's a whole, and Lil Nas, he can have sex with the devil in his music videos. That's fine. But I'm dangerous for saying go to the gym. And once I realized what was scary to me is, I said this to my brother. I said, once the parliament's discussing you, you're basically considered a national security threat at this point. You're a threat to national security at that level. And then all bets are off, right?
What about the UK? So the UK has become more authoritarian than anywhere in the Persian Gulf.
Correct.
How did that happen?
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's very interesting because people still, the people in Camp B who don't think, a lot of them believe that the law is fair. I've had people say to me, oh yeah, what they're doing to you is garbage. Well, you need a lawyer. Well, yeah, I do need a lawyer, and I do have a lawyer. Thank you. But it's not that simple, unfortunately. The law is very subjective, and if they want to attack you with it, they're going to do a very good job of attacking you with it. And that's what the UK does. The UK has these laws which are extremely subjective, and they can use it as a weapon to basically silence anyone they decide.
But why? England is the birthplace of free speech, or habeas corpus, of a framework of liberal democracy that we thought we believed in.
Yeah.
And now it's a country where people are arrested for praying.
Well,
what happened?
Good question. And there's a saying I heard, and I don't know who said it, but he said that a sick country adopts laws like a dying man can try medicine. And I think that the UK is failing in real time. If you look at it in any metric, whether it's living standards, whether it's crime rate, any metric you can measure the success of a country by, it's fallen off the cliff. It's becoming more and more expensive to live there. The education system's gone down the pan. London is the staffing capital of the world. You're not safe to leave your house. So their answer to this is just more and more laws And unfortunately, as they do that, they're not even intelligent enough to actually attack the people who are doing genuinely bad to the world. They just make more and more authoritarian laws, and they end up using them to attack the people that the government doesn't like. And I ended up being one of them. And I think Europe in general has problems. If you look at France as we speak, I think it's on fire, isn't it? Most of it?
It is.
Yeah. So they have issues, and their answer, what's the government's solution to anything? Laws. What can a government do? No matter what.
But they're not laws that are aimed at fixing the problem that's right now.
No, they're laws aimed at fixing the person who's talking about the problem.
So
Why don't you get rid of the guy who tells everybody? Isn't that easier, Tucker? Why fix any of this? If we just shut him up, they won't know.
No, but that's like responding to a heat wave by breaking your thermometer.
Completely right. That's the plan. Plan one is to break the thermometer. We might deal with the heat wave a bit later. But
Get air conditioning. No, we have to break the thermometer.
for now, there's too many people talking about the heat wave. So let's just break that. And then later on, maybe when we have time, we'll do something about the actual issue.
It does seem like a lot of this is an effort not to talk about the real thing in Europe anyway, which is migration.
Yeah.
And the UK, formerly known as England, and France have both been completely changed by people from other countries.
Yep.
And I'm sure have added good things too. I mean, I'm not, but they changed them, and in general, they're not better countries. And like, why can't anyone admit that?
This is what's really interesting to me about what's happening. We're talking about masculinity and men who say no and men who stand up. But there has to be balance, right? Everywhere in the world, there has to be power balances. If there's not a balance in power, there's going to be a vacuum, and that's going to be filled. If you neuter the native population of men, if you destroy their mentality to resist, if you tell them that every single thing about them masculine is wrong, and you basically feminize and unicate them, turn them into eunuchs, and then you import high testosterone men from the third world who don't believe any of this garbage, who grew up in a society where they understand the only way to succeed is to be a fearsome predator to a degree. What do you think is going to happen? Like, who's supposed to protect the sanctity of these nations and these settlements and these towns and villages? The police? No. In general, I would argue that it's the masculine essence that can be detected by the people who arrive. I guarantee if you were to take a bunch of these migrants in Sarajevo or Moscow, they behave themselves.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling they just look around and go, okay. But when you neuter the native populace, then it's like, well, there's a power vacuum. And when there's a power vacuum, what do we expect to happen? So that's
What are the French going to do about it? What's your average Englishman going to do about it?
Nothing. And that's the thing. And that makes you wonder, is this purposeful? Like, why? These two actions of neutering the native populace and importing these high testosterone third worlders are so at odds with each other. Is this purposeful? I'm not sure. But has anyone considered this? So yeah, it's interesting because you talk about
these are huge and intentional trends, and I mean they're historically transformative trends. They're a big deal, so they're probably not happening by accident, right? There's got to be some intent. How could there not be?
That's right. And how do they expect all of this to end? And this is exactly what's happening with migration. The problem with migration specifically is that there's no native masculine populace to enforce any degree of culture or boundary or parameter. And like I said, I would argue the point. And I've been to Sarajevo and I've been to Moscow. I've been to these places and I've seen there's a whole bunch of migration and everybody seems to just behave a little bit differently. And I think that's because people understand
that men live here.
That men live here. If you turn up in someone's house and their house is pristine, you're probably going to take your cup and you're going to go put it in the kitchen. But if you turn up in somebody's house and it's a fucking mess and nobody respects the house and nobody cares and the man is drugged out of his mind, half asleep on the couch, what are you going to do with your cup? You're going to leave it there. You don't give a shit. If you turn up to the Western world and look at it,
then you're going to hit on his wife.
Absolutely. So what do we expect to happen in these scenarios, right? And it is purposeful and it is scary that even me just telling men to go to the gym is seen as an act of defiance to the point where I have to be punished. I must go to jail. I must be silenced. The thermometer must be broken.
If at the end of all of this, no matter what happens, do you plan to stay in Romania?
I love Romania. I love this country. And if I am found not guilty, I will stay in Romania, yeah. I will still stay here. I don't believe in running away. I also believe, and perhaps this is...
Yeah, I didn't even want to ask you that because you've got a legal case pending, but I mean, presumably you're rich enough to run away when you haven't.
Correct. I'm not going anywhere. I think if I was anywhere in the Western world, this would have happened to me. I don't think this is Romania's fault. Let's put it that way. I don't think this is Romania's fault. I think if I resided in Switzerland or France or Italy, the same thing would happen. From knowing what I know, I think it was going to happen to me regardless. And I think I do have a large amount of sympathy, especially amongst the Romanian population. I get thousands of messages a day from Romanians apologizing to me. I think the people here actually like me.
My waiter at lunch yesterday is one of them. He wanted you to know, yeah.
Ah, amazing. This is what I mean. Everyone understands what's happening. My problem is not with Romania. I don't hold any personal grudges against Romania. I think that this Matrix attack was going to come to me.
What is the Matrix?
Good question. I guess some Americans call it the deep state, but I like to look at it in a more global way. When I say the Matrix, I think there are certain agendas which are being pushed. I think the media machine and the judicial systems of the world work together hand in hand. I think the goal is to control people's minds to a point where they don't discuss anything that's important. The reason I use The Matrix is because I've watched that movie a few times. It has so many similarities to the... Have you seen the movie? No. You've never seen the movie The Matrix?
No, I don't watch any movie.
I don't
want to talk about it on camera. No, I'm very dyslexic, and it's hard for me to watch the video.
Got it. Understood. But there's so many similarities, and the basic premise is that humans' minds are controlled and put in front of a false reality so that their body heat can be manifested in machines. And I don't think it's much different to reality. Our minds are controlled. We're put in a false version of reality. We're told things aren't true. We're arguing over things that don't matter. We're observing a false version of events. And the goal of it is just to distract us long enough for our bodies to be used for the machines, the soulless. And I think it's pretty similar. Pretty similar, striking similarities. And even then, there's a bunch of other similarities which are difficult to explain having watched the movie. But there are agents inside the Matrix, and the idea of the agent, the purpose of the agent is to make sure that nobody understands how the Matrix really works and wake anybody's mind up. They want to keep you asleep. And any person can become an agent at any time if they're not unplugged, if their mind is not free. They can become an agent, and their job is to keep you asleep. And you see agents all the time. COVID awoken me to agents. When I would sit and talk to somebody, they seem perfectly rational and normal until I mentioned COVID, and then they fully change. No, it's dangerous. No, what do you mean? What do you mean? Are you crazy? My grandma got sick. And they became an agent instantly, started repeating the news to me. And I was like, your grandma got sick. How old is she? 97. Interesting. Oh, I better lock myself in my house then. Dumbass. So, agents exist and the Matrix exists, and I think most people's version of the world is a false one. The idea and the world that most people have in their mind and how society functions and how all these things function, I genuinely believe is completely false. I think they've all been lied to. I don't think anybody understands how any of the world works. And I try and use some very simple, very simple analogies to wake people up. I said to one of my friends once, I said, if me and you could play the game for $10,000 and you could cheat, would you cheat? He goes, no. I was like, if I was whooping your ass and it was 10 grand a game and you could cheat, would you cheat? He goes, yeah. I was like, all right, so you accept that people cheat to win in a video game for a menial amount of money? You think they're not going to cheat for something that matters? I think they're not going to cheat for something important? You understand what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Yeah, so,
how about to get the most important job in the world, President of the United States?
I would never kill myself.
I mean, people kill each other over insurance fraud. You don't think, right? Yeah.
So when you actually understand how the world really works, you know what's really interesting? I remember there was this big military coup in, is it Myanmar or Burma? One of these, there was a big military coup like a year ago or something. I looked at it, I looked into it, and they were talking about how